Hi, my name is Riley Wright, and I did this presentation on human trafficking and the health concerns there are for the victims. So I did the description of both the human traffickers and the victims. So some of the people that could be a human trafficker could really be anybody, friends, relatives, gang members, international smugglers, or any of these pimps or madams. Victim appearance, if they're already been involved in human trafficking, usually their clothes won't be weather appropriate. They'll have maybe bruises or any other injuries on their body indicating physical abuse. Um, if they come in and you're assessing them as a nurse, they will be vague with complaints, have poor mental stability, and have signs of anxiety. Children can also be involved and appear a lot in human trafficking, but 71% of the victims are women and 29% are usually men. Okay, so here in Salt Lake City, there are a lot of crossroads that make it easy to get to, like Vegas or Idaho, just like the highways. So they just say that that's where human trafficking can become a bigger problem. Statewide in Utah, there's been 121 calls in 2014 and 138 calls about human trafficking in 2013. Nationally, second largest criminal industry will be in the United States, and over the whole entire world is an estimated 40.3 million victims that are trapped in slavery or otherwise known as human trafficking. Um, and then just to kind of describe both of them, the United States and other areas, it says that the Asia Pacific region accounts for the largest number of forced laborers, and 62% million um, is that, where America only accounts for 5% of that. Okay, so what I did is go on the Healthy People website and just look at their list of social determinants and then kind of just picked what ones I thought matched up with risk to get into um, human trafficking. So some of those were exposure to crime and violence, access to healthcare services, public safety, and availability of resources to meet daily needs like grocery stores and housing that is safe. Um, these all kind of go with areas that could be more poor than other ones. I think they just don't have the support that normal communities do, and it makes it easy for human traffickers to basically get them involved with what they're doing. Okay, so just some concerns that are out there for victims of human trafficking, or risk factors, it could go either way, would include poverty, refugees from areas of conflict, runaways, homeless youth, victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, ethnic minorities, and any history, including violence, trauma, and abuse. I thought this was really interesting because it kind of just shows that victims are usually the people that don't really have a place to go anyways, or they just have a troubled life where they are. And so it just makes it that much more easier to fall into that problem that's going on. Okay, so what I have came up with for the root cause of human trafficking is poor countries and communities are more at risk for human trafficking because they have less resources to keep them safe and a lack of education to provide basic safety information. The reason why I believe that this is the root of the problem is because kind of what I said before, they just don't have that support of their community or family or friends that other people might have. So it makes it easier for them to fall into just more bad crowds. Okay, so it was really hard for me to look at this Maslow's hierarchy of needs with this situation because it just seemed like none of those needs were met at all. Um, like the physiological part, the safety, love and belonging, self esteem, and self actualization. All of those are ruined if you have become a victim of human trafficking. Um, Functional level is not really functional at all. The reason is because you're basically admitted in slavery, where someone decides when and what you eat and drink. They take you away from your friends and family, abuse you sexually, so that part of your life is no longer an intimate thing for you. As a slave, you're obviously not respected, and that can help. Well, that can not help your self esteem and will make it decrease. You don't have any rights to do anything for yourself, and the people who are doing the human trafficking decide everything for you. Therefore, the only functional thing that you control is breathing, really. Likely health outcomes, I listed PTSD, mental instability, sexual transmitted infections, and being malnourished. Um, this affects them physically and mentally. Um, Physically, they could be abused and obviously not get the nutrition that they need, and lack of treatment for illnesses such as STIs. And mentally, they can't really progress and will acquire traits such as depression and anxiety. Okay, so these are the communicable diseases or infections that happen with human trafficking. The biggest one I found are STIs involving HIVs and AIDS. Normal prevention, what you tell a normal person is wear protection, limiting your partners, and seeking the medical attention right away for antibiotics and other treatments to fight these infections so they don't get worse. But obviously, there's a lot of sexual abuse that happens during that time if you're involved with human trafficking, and it happens against your will. So, you preventing it, I mean, there's not anything that you can do, which is really sad. And it's also sad because they might not have the option to go get treatment for these infections. Okay, so the non communicable diseases that happen with human trafficking victims are mostly psychological cases. This includes PTSD and substance abuse. Um, it's a very scarring situation, especially when it happens in younger populations. For treatment, it's probably best to see a therapist that specializes in human trafficking. Um, okay, so the self care of these victims after they have been through human trafficking is really not that great just because they went through a period of time where they couldn't do anything for themselves. So it's almost like they have to relearn how to take care of themselves. Um, to recover from this, it can affect the ability to care on a daily basis. So I guess the recommendation is to make goals with yourself, and you'll basically relearn these skills of what you normally do. Um, Suicide happens a lot during these cases, so I put in a hotline for human trafficking specifically, just so you can get the help that you need that will hopefully not lead you to any suicidal thoughts or to help you with those thoughts. Okay, so the biggest risk for harm are the victims to be more at risk by other people for harming them for the rest of their lives. They've been the victim before and they will continue to be the victim. They spent a period of time being told what to do, how to do it, and if they went against this, normally like punishment would be the result. So anyone that has the potential to control another person is probably not so great to be around these people because they'll just fall under the same um, repetition example.